Okay, well today we're going to look at sketching and how sketching applies to our graphic communication design method that we would use. And so to start off here, first of all we have kind of a definition and overview of what sketching is, and it's a preliminary approach to a problem. If you recall, we've talked about different aspects of design and how did we define design. Okay, good. A solution to a problem. Okay, a solution to a problem. And we talked about problem solving and the methods that we can use to go through problem solving. And so sketching tends to be one of those steps that we can incorporate into that problem solving model. As we go through and we are brainstorming, maybe some initial sketches may come out of that brainstorming process as we're researching and deliberating on different solutions. But then definitely as we get to really kind of narrowing down that solution, typically sketches come into play. And sketches are important because they're a quick method of communicating ideas visually. And that's really important as you're working amongst a team and you're trying to come up with a solution that, sometimes we may not be on the same page. I may be talking about something and I have a vision of it in my head, but you don't in yours. And so by being able to get that down on paper, all of a sudden it can kind of bring us all on the same page and say, okay, yeah, this makes sense. This is what we're thinking. Many of us learn through visual ways, and so it helps to have something visual. It's a method of recording notes and changes made in shop or on a prototype. And sketching is really important as you are going through and making changes on things. And so we may already have a full CAD design. We may have a working drawing that's down in the machine shop and we're working on that, but all of a sudden the machinist may look at that and say, wait a minute, even though the CAD technician did a great job, they didn't really account for the fact that this can't go here, or I can't do this on the machine, and so these are the changes. So that machinist may take and sketch on that working drawing some changes and things that need to be made, and that becomes an official record of what's going on in terms of the design. Same might happen on a structure, building a structure. You may have a set of architectural plans, but as it becomes part of actually building it, you may realize, wait a minute, this isn't going to work. We need to make some changes. So sketches are a way to record that. It's used to aid the think-through process. Again, part of that problem solving, coming up with solutions. Many times we can, do different sketches. It'd be amazing to see how many things that we use today, or things that have been invented, created, modern applications, that all began with a simple sketch. How many different ideas that are in place, that are in use today, occurred by two people sitting at a table. Maybe they were even eating lunch together, and a sketch happened on a napkin, and how that came to fruition. So many ideas come that way. And even in our modern day digital society, where so much of what we do, especially in the design, is on the computer, our architect and our engineering firms are still saying how important it is for you guys to be able to sketch. That is still a skill that they want you to have, again, because it's so quick, it's a preliminary approach, and it helps think through that process. So sketching is not an old art, an outdated practice, an outdated skill. It is something that's certainly still needed today. So I want to encourage you. Many of you, like myself, I do not consider myself an artist by any means. I am not great at drawing things. And so, sketching doesn't necessarily come naturally to me, but certainly something that it's a skill that you can develop and work on, and I would encourage all of you to do that, to continue working on your sketching skills as you go through. Okay, so there's some basic rules that we can follow when we do sketching. First of all, we don't use any scales or tools. We don't pull out, the protractor, or we don't, we don't get our measurement scale, and draw things that way. So it's not like what you experience in engineering graphics, where you're taking it and doing a full-fledged technical drawing here. It's just typically by hand. However, we do want to draw proportional. And what do we mean by proportional? Okay, practical, nothing lopsided. Okay, things should be in proportion. Okay, so if we're just sketching out a floor plan and we're in the bathroom, when we start to sketch, the shower, that it should really be in proportion to the room. We don't want to over-exaggerate something because that kind of gets everything off. So we still want to keep things in proportion. We want to use some line contrast, and we can still use the alphabet of lines. As you recall from engineering graphics, you can still use an object line or a hidden line, and it's helpful to use darker and thicker lines and lighter lines in different places. That helps the visual come out easier. Though we don't draw to a specific scale, we can draw small objects bigger than normal. Okay, so we can draw things larger, that way we might be able to see them better. And that should be made clear on how that's proportional to the rest of the drawing. And we can use dimensions. Again, we don't take out our straight edge and our scale and measure 3/8 inch up from the object line, but we still can go ahead and just simply sketch in some dimensions. Those are important and useful. There are two types of sketches that we can use. The first is a multi-view, where we take and we sketch different views of the object, such as the front, top, and right side. So again, kind of that typical working drawing model that we would typically use, and that's just a way for us to draw. Each view shows how many dimensions? That's a question. Each view, we have a front, top, right side view. Each view shows how many dimensions? 2 dimensions. Okay, so this example you see on the screen here isn't necessarily a great example because it's a little bit different. Really, the front view would be like the profile of the car that you see right there. But this profile view shows what of the car? What 2 dimensions? The what? Okay, the height and the length. Good. So each view shows 2, and the combination of the 3 gives us all 3 dimensions that we might need. So we can choose to sketch in that method, or we can choose to sketch in a pictorial method, and where the sketching is done in a picture-like, where all 3 dimensions are shown on one drawing. And here you can actually see kind of 2 different examples here. Obviously, on the left side, you can see where it is a kind of a 3-dimensional sketch. Maybe you incorporate some isometric, maybe you incorporate a vanishing point. As we discussed in engineering graphics, there are different types of pictorial drawings that we can do, and either ones are fine. Over on the right side here, you can see this is a kind of a profile. This is a side view shot of it there. But whatever this thing is, and I'm not sure what this sketch is of, but if we were sitting in a group and we were trying to develop a solution to a problem, and we were going to develop this thing, whatever it happens to be, we could talk and talk and talk about it and not really be on the same page, but somebody can simply start sketching some things out and say, okay, yeah, that makes sense, and all of a sudden it brings us all together. So that's why sketching is important, and that's why it's still used today in industry, and it's certainly a skill that you want to continue to work on as you progress in your college career.